All right, yeah! Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show, it's called Redemption Rehab. Today, we're taking a look at the tight ends coming into the NFL Draft this April in 2024 that are going to impact fantasy football this year and for years to come. We're going to show you some highlights, we're going to show you their stats, and we're going to show you where they're going to go in some of your upcoming fantasy football leagues. So buckle up, get out your popcorn, and let's head over to the chalkboard
and check out the facts.
Okay, here we are taking a look at the tight ends coming in the 2024 NFL Draft later in April this year on our draft preview show. On this board behind me, you could see a company called drafttech.com. We're going to use them to rank our players this year, again, for our 6th year in a row. The number one player on the board at tight end this year is this guy, Brock Bowers of Georgia. He's 6'4", 230-pound junior. Draft Tech has him ranked the number 5th overall player, and he's their top player on their board at tight end. Let's take a look at this guy. Brock Bowers, like I said, 6'4", 230-pound junior. He played 3 years at Georgia. He was a two-time John Mackey Award winner in 2022 and 2023 as the nation's best tight end. He was a consensus All-American, and in his career, as you could see here, from a company called sportsreference.com, while you watch the highlights, Brock Bowers played for Georgia for 3 years in the SEC. At tight end, he played in 40 games. He had 175 receptions, 2,538 yards total, with an average of 14.5 yards per catch, with 26 TDs. He can also run the ball. In his 3 years at Georgia, he ran the ball 19 times for 193 yards, a 10.2 yard average per carry, and he scored another 5 touchdowns. Look, going into this season, if you want a very good tight end, this guy is the best rookie coming out. He's head and shoulders above everybody else. Where's he going in some of your dynasty leagues? Let's take a look. In some of your dynasty league drafts, as you can see here in this first round, Brock Bowers is going in the top 3 to 5 picks in 1 quarterback leagues. And in your 2 quarterback leagues, he's still going in the top 5. That's big time. Okay, Brock Bowers, you saw his highlights, you saw statistics. Kid's going to be a major player in the NFL for years to come. Make sure you find out where he gets drafted this April. Depending upon who takes him, we'll move him up the draft board. He goes to a team like the Chargers or maybe the Bengals or another team that likes to throw the ball to the tight end. This kid's a player. He's going to have an amazing NFL career. Who else do we like at tight end? How about this guy? Jatavian Sanders down there in Texas. He's 6'4", 242-pound junior. He's ranked 46th overall on Draft Tech, and he's their 2nd best tight end going into this year. While you watch the highlights, Jatavian Sanders, you can see over here, here's some of his stats. He played 3 years at Texas in the Big 12 at tight end. You can see right here, he played about 39 games. He had 99 catches basically in 2 years for 1,295 yards with a 13-yard average and only 7 touchdowns. He doesn't run the ball at all. Jatavian Sanders, I'll tell you what, when you look at this kid, he's a big kid. He has a chance to be taken in the 2nd round of the NFL Draft. Depending upon who takes him, depends upon whether this kid's worth taking in any of your redraft leagues. Probably better off to get him on your waiver wire. As far as your dynasty leagues, this kid's going like somewhere in the 3rd round of your 12-team dynasty leagues. Let's see who else we like this year. Okay, here we are still looking at Draft Tech. We're on their 3rd best tight end, and it's Cade Stover of Ohio State. You can see here he's 6'4", 255 pounds. He can block, he can catch the ball, and he's a real football player. He's a redshirt senior, so he's played about 5 years, so he's probably the oldest of all the tight ends on this board. Draft Tech has him ranked as in the top 70 at player number 69. He's their third best tight end on the board. Let's take a look at some of his highlights. As you can see here, Cade Stover played 5 years at Ohio State in the Big Ten. He played in a lot of games, man, nearly 40 games. He caught 82 balls for 1,058 yards with a 12.9 yard per average per catch, and he had 10 TDs. He doesn't run the ball at all, but he's a good inline blocker, so he's going to get some hype in the NFL. In your dynasty leagues, he's like we talked about these other guys, Jatavian Sanders, probably going to go later, that third or fourth round if you have 4 rounds. In your redraft leagues, we're not worried about it. We're not taking him at all. Maybe you can pick him up on the waiver wire late in the year if there's an injury at tight end. Let's go back to Draft Tech and take a look at their other tight end. Another tight end we really like on Draft Tech is this guy here, Jahiem Bell out of Florida State. He's 6'2", 233 pounds. He's a redshirt junior, and he's their 112th best player overall. That means he's probably going on day 3 of the NFL draft. Let's take a look at some of his highlights. Okay, we're taking a look at the highlights and statistics from Jahiem Bell of Florida State. As you can see here, he played 3 years at South Carolina. His last year, he was a running back, not a tight end. Then he transferred down to the ACC and played for Florida State. In his tight end career, you can see here, he also had where he played over 40 games. He had 95 catches for 1,260 yards with a 13.3 yard average per catch. And he scored 9 touchdowns. He also ran the ball. As you can see here, his last year at South Carolina, he was a running back. Ran the ball 73 times for 261 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I'll tell you what, he's a multi-dimensional player. It depends on who takes him in the NFL draft, whether they decide to use him as like maybe this utility knife type player or just keep him at tight end. So keep an eye on this April who drafts Jahiem Bell, and we'll see whether or not we're taking him in any of your dynasty leagues or any of your redraft leagues. Most likely, I'm waiting to see where he goes and probably picking him up on the waiver wire once the season starts. Let's head back to Draft Tech and check out the final few players we like at tight end going into the 2024 NFL Draft. Okay, here we are back on Draft Tech looking at the final few players we like at tight end going into the NFL Draft and our fantasy football season for 2024. We got Theo Johnson, Ben Sinnott, and Jared Wiley. Let's take a look at some of their highlights where we talk about their statistics. You got Theo Johnson, 6'6", 260-pound junior out of Penn State. Draft Tech has him moving up after the combine, 75 spots. A ranking of 123, so he's going to go in that 4th or 5th, maybe 6th round of the NFL draft. Played 4 years at Penn State. Basically, in his last couple years, he had 77 receptions for 938 yards and 12 TDs. Another guy we really like is Ben Sinnott over there at Kansas State. He's 6'4", 245-pound junior. He played 4 years at Kansas State. His last 2 years, he had 80 receptions for 1,123 yards and 10 TDs. He's moving up because everybody liked him at the NFL Combine. And the last guy we're going to talk about today is Jared Wiley at TCU. He's 6'7", 260-pound senior. He played 5 years, 3 at Texas and 2 at TCU. In the 2 years at TCU, he had 71 receptions for 765 yards and 12 TDs. Well, these are the tight ends that you need to concern yourself with. Let's take a look at some other things, where they're going to go in your upcoming fantasy drafts, in your dynasty leagues, in your redraft league. Okay, here's a mock draft of a dynasty league rookie draft that we did in early March around the 5th or 6th. You can see these are all going to change come your draft later this year in your dynasty leagues. You can see over here in round 1. Brock Bowers right here went 3rd overall. Now this is a PPR 1 quarterback league. If it was a 2 quarterback league, Caleb Williams would probably move into the top 3 and Brock Bowers would move down. But I still think Brock Bowers is a top 5 pick no matter what your league is. And you can see here Jatavian Sanders ended up going in the beginning of round 3 at tight end in your Dynasty League rookie drafts, and Ben Sinnott went at the end of round 3. The other guys we talked about are probably worth getting on your waiver wire unless they show something in the preseason. Okay, this is a mock draft we have right here from a redraft league. As you can see, the tight ends have really shifted around in the first round here. You got Sam Laporta going in the round 1. That's a surprise, but he had a really good season last year as a rookie. We told you to go out and get Sam Laporta last year, and he had an amazing year. Here's some of the other tight ends. Travis Kelce, Trey McBride in the 4th round. We told you about him a couple years ago. And when you move down here, you can see there are no rookies going until you get way down here in round 13. The first rookie and only rookie to go in this draft is the guy we've been telling you about, is Brock Bowers, man. He's going to be a good player. He's going to go somewhere in your first half of your draft once he gets drafted, and you can see the players he's being drafted around in early March. I expect him to move up into this group here with your Dalton Kincaids, your Dallas Goederts, and your Evan Ingrams, depending upon who takes them in your NFL draft. I just wanted to touch on last year. We told you about these top 6 guys right here, that we liked all these guys. Michael Mayer didn't have a good year. We would be taking him this year. We're taking Dalton Kincaid in all your redraft leagues. We're not taking Darnell Washington. We just showed you Sam Laporta is probably the first tight end off the board. We're definitely taking Luke Musgrave, and don't count out Tucker Kraft. Both those two, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, play for Green Bay, and I expect those guys to at least improve upon what they did last year. Okay, there you have it. That's our tight end draft preview show for 2024. We want to give a big shout out to our new sponsor, Matson Logistics. Give them a call at 1-800-4MATSON if you have any large container shipping needs from shore to shore, coastline to coastline. They'll get the job done for you at 1-800-4MATSON. Anyways, I'm Buster Brown. The show is called Redemption Rehab. Good luck.